Miss Sterling, this is my 2-week notice. I slid the printed sheet across her 8-foot mahogany desk. The corner caught on the Hermes folder she just bought. She glanced at it, didn't take it. Say that again. I'm resigning, going back home for a blind date. The Mont Blanc pen in her hand didn't stop. She signed off on a quarterly report without even looking up. In English, Joe. My mom's been on me for 5 years. If I don't bring someone home this time, she's coming to the city herself with a banner. Oh. Click. She capped the pen and looked up. Dark eyes, sharp, unreadable, locked onto mine. So, who's the lucky girl? A teacher introduced by a neighbor back home. She teaches middle school English. Did I ask who? She shot to her feet, rounded the desk in 2 strides of sharp Louboutin heels on marble, click, right into my space. Her right hand pinned my resignation to the blotter, index and middle finger crushing the words resignation letter. Nude polish, ice-cold gloss. She leaned in. Cedarwood perfume hit me, the same one she'd worn every day for 5 years. I asked you, she enunciated, slow and dangerous, who the hell are you going home to date? I stepped back, my lower back hit the file cabinet edge. Sterling, you. Am I not good enough to be your family's daughter-in-law? The air on the 28th floor got sucked out of the room. My own heartbeat thumped loud in my ears. Then her office door burst open. Charles Hammond, the CFO, stood there hugging a stack of printouts, mouth hanging open, tie askew. Sterling, the cash flow statement for this month. Should I come back? Close the door. Vivian Sterling didn't even turn her head. Charles scrambled and wham, the door latched shut. Down the hall came his retreating footsteps and frantic hushed whispers from the conference room. Did you hear that? She actually said, am I not good enough? I stared at her fingers pressing down on the letter. Sweat rolled down my spine. She pressed closer. Answer me. Compared to her, what does this teacher have? She holds a teaching degree from some state college. I have a dual BA/MA from Harvard. She's from a one-stoplight town. I'm from old Manhattan wealth. Her voice dropped an octave. Joe Yen, tell me, where exactly do I not measure up? Sterling, my throat was dry. This isn't fair. I said, what are your family standards for a wife? Her other hand flattened against my chest, 5 fingers spread, heat searing through my shirt. My mother's dowry was 3 pre-war brownstones in the West Village. If that's too much, I'll bring 2. Can she match that? Her phone on the desk lit up, a message from Charles reading, hang in there. My phone rang. Mom. Vivian caught my wrist before I could swipe to answer. Speaker, on. Yenner. Mom's voice blared through the receiver. Auntie Wong says the girl said yes. When are you coming back? Did you buy the train ticket? Is this weekend free? Vivian held my gaze. Her lips shaped 2 silent words, tell her. I knew that mouth, every small shift of it. I gripped the phone, knuckles white. Ma, You what? Your boss won't let you go, is that it? Joe Yen, if that woman boss of yours stops you from dating, I'll stand outside your building with a protest sign. I already wrote it, 28-year-old son needs love freedom. You think I won't do it? The corner of Vivian's mouth ticked up faintly. She pulled her hand off my chest, walked back around the desk. She sank into her black leather high-back chair, picked up my resignation letter, folded it once, twice. Then she ripped it into 4 pieces and fed it straight to the shredder. ZZZT. White confetti snowed into the waste bin. She hit the office intercom without breaking eye contact with me. Charles, return the Patek Philippe I bought at Bergdorf's last week. And order 2 cases of 15-year Wolianye, delivered to Joe Yen's hometown tomorrow morning. Charles squeaked nervously on the other end. Ms. Sterling, 2 cases of the 15-year liquor will run $16,000. Expense it to my personal bonus. She hung up. She looked at me, that sharp assessing stare identical to the one she'd given me 5 years ago at my interview. Back then I told her I could work overtime, and she said then start tonight. Joe Yen, she laced her fingers together on the desk like she was reviewing a hostile takeover plan. What's the banquet standard per table in your hometown? I'll have everything prepared. Ms. Sterling. Call me Vivian. The office door cracked open again. Charles stood there with half the office staff behind him, marketing, HR, legal, all ears, all eyes. Vivian's gaze swept over every eavesdropper coldly. Staring at what? Get me a full list by noon today. Local marriage customs, cash gift amount, housing handover rules, red envelopes, wedding procession car colors. I want every single detail. Charles swallowed hard. But Sterling, the Fonda Group merger meeting is scheduled this afternoon. Postponed. The board can wait. The client wants me to deliver liquor tomorrow myself. I'm driving to that town personally. The merger can wait a full week if it has to. She scooped the shredded scraps from the bin, smoothed them flat on the desk, and lined the 4 torn pieces to form 2 clear words. I look down and read them. I approve. Silence swallowed the entire 28th floor. The air conditioning hummed softly in the quiet. No one outside the office dared breathe too loud. I opened my mouth, stunned. This is a joke. What are you playing at? Why me? I only make $8,300 a month before tax. You spend more than that on a single handbag. Before I could ramble further, she cut me off flatly. Joe Yen. If your mom wants to hold a protest banner downstairs, I'll hold the other end right beside her. A short pause hung between us. Because I am more than good enough to join your family as your wife. She meant every word without a trace of sarcasm. Behind me came Charles's shocked inhale, then frantic tapping as he messaged the whole team. Word spread instantly across the 28th floor, Sterling's going to marry her assistant. Everyone knew Vivian Sterling's reputation. She took over Sterling Media at 26 when the company was on the brink of bankruptcy. 5 years later, it ranked top 3 in the industry, swallowed 3 rival firms, and just locked the largest outdoor advertising license north of the Hudson. She could reduce senior vice presidents to tears mid-boardroom presentation. 400 employees worked under her, none daring to make a sound in her presence. But today she'd pinned my resignation letter down and asked a question no one could have predicted. Am I not good enough to be your bride? The truth was, we'd never dated once. We'd never even shared an unaccompanied dinner. 5 years, more than 3,000 days. Only boss and assistant. I fetched her coffee, booked cross-country flights, drank the drunk client's toast so she wouldn't have to. I sat beside her rewriting pitch decks until 3 a.m. I hired private nurses when her mother was hospitalized, fielded routine check-in calls from her father. Not a single private word passed between us outside of work tasks until this moment. Charles closed the door gently this time, herding all the eavesdropping staff away. From the hallway, I heard Diana Zhang, marketing director, whisper loudly enough to carry through the walls. Daughter-in-law? Whose? Joe Yan's. Who else? Joe Yan? The man who's been her personal assistant for 5 years straight. Sterling likes him. Not just likes, didn't you hear what happened? He tried to quit and go on a blind date with a local teacher. She declared she'd be the daughter-in-law for his family instead. Jesus, that's a whole lot to unpack. I leaned against the metal file cabinet, my knees weak beneath me. Vivian picked up her phone, scrolling through pages quietly, then lifted her eyes to me. What color does your mother prefer for wedding decor? Red. Boring, but all the old-school relatives love traditional red palettes. Fine. Red and gold will be our wedding theme. Cheongsam or western white gown for your mother's outfit? Vivian. She watched me stumble over her name like I was swallowing broken glass shards. Are you running a fever? 98.8 degrees. Did you sleep well last night? 6.5 hours total. Then do I look like someone who jokes about marriage matters? She was utterly serious. At last year's holiday party, a staff member misspelled her name as Vivian Sterlington on the welcome slides. She ordered HR to fire the event planner before dessert was even served to guests. Yet now she was discussing wedding color palettes in the exact calm tone she used for annual budget reviews. Do you have a preference for wedding dress styles? She asked. Never mind. Your terrible taste in neckties tells me everything I need to know. I'll ask your mother to make the final decision on all wedding details. She lifted her phone again, turning the screen toward me. Give me your mom's phone number. I'm saving it now. Why do you need my mom's contact? To send the formal wedding invitation. What invitation? She set the phone down, brows drawn tight into that familiar microfrown I knew all too well. That was the same frustrated expression she wore after 3 hours of endless vendor price negotiations. You think I'm unsuitable for you? No, I just. Then tell me exactly where I fall short of your standards. You don't. The words burst out before I could clamp my mouth shut. I instantly wished I could bite my own tongue clean in half. Her eyes crinkled at the corners, barely a fraction of a millimeter upward. In 5 years working together, I could count every genuine smile she'd shown on one single hand. Consider it settled, then. She waved a hand dismissively, already refocusing on her tablet screen. The display loaded a luxury bridal boutique's homepage. Go pack your bag. Tomorrow 7 a.m., basement parking garage. You drive the car, we're heading straight to your hometown. I haven't handed in my resignation yet. Who said you're resigning? You're requesting approved personal leave to meet your parents-in-law. Marriage leave is fully approved, fully paid. We haven't even had an official proposal yet. What? You're supposed to propose to me. Please. She flicked her fingers lightly across the tablet screen. I'm going to formally propose to your mother first. Then, quieter, soft enough only I could hear, do you prefer pearl trim on the wedding gown collar or plain silk? I stood frozen, feeling like my brain was leaking out through my ears. My phone buzzed with an incoming message from Auntie Wong back home. Xiaoyan, the teacher girl said yes, she really likes you. When are you coming back to meet her face to face? I froze solid. Vivian tilted her chin toward my phone screen. Speaker mode. Auntie Wong, I. Has Xiaoyan arrived home yet? Xiaoyan, she's such a gentle, nice girl, 3 years older than you. She knows how to care for a man, no messy romantic baggage. She said if you move back permanently, she'll transfer to the local middle school. Not necessary. Vivian's voice cut through the line, calm and final. Dead silence fell on the other end of the call. Who's speaking? Who is that? I'm Zhou Yan's. Vivian glanced at me, a split second of quiet hesitation. Fiancé. Ha? Inform the young lady that Zhou Yan is already taken. I'll stop by your house in a few days with a thank you gift for the matchmaking introduction. Goodbye. She ended the call and passed my phone back into my palm. 43 seconds. She'd completely erased my planned blind date with one phone call. Go on. She twisted the tablet toward me, showing a crimson traditional Chinese wedding gown covered in heavy gold embroidery. Cheongsam cut. Your mother will absolutely adore this design. I wanted to blurt out that she couldn't possibly be serious. I wanted to ask what she even saw in an ordinary man like me. I wanted to say my entire annual salary couldn't buy one of her luxury watches. But not a single word left my throat. Because when she turned the tablet toward me, my gaze locked onto her left wrist. Just above the watch band she always kept fully covered was a thin, faded pale white line. An old scar. I recognized that scar perfectly. On the very first day of my interview 5 years ago, she wore a long-sleeve button-down shirt with the top button fastened tight. When we shook hands, her sleeve slid upward for just one fleeting second, revealing the mark. Back then I'd thought it was just a random accident of fabric slipping. Now I understood. A self-made billionaire CEO had no reason to hide a scar she could easily afford cosmetic surgery to erase. She caught me staring instantly. She pulled her hand back fast, hiding the scar completely under the desk surface. The tablet screen dimmed automatically, the red wedding gown vanishing from sight. The office fell back to only the steady hum of the air conditioner. Neither of us spoke a single word for a long stretch of time. She stood up, walked over to the floor-to-ceiling window, her back fully turned toward me. Her voice dropped to a low, quiet murmur. Zhou Yan, go home for the night. Don't be late tomorrow morning. I turned toward the office door to leave. Zhou Yan. Her voice stopped me mid-step. Yeah? My mother, all those years ago. A long pause stretched on, long enough I thought she'd abandoned the sentence entirely. Forget it. I'll tell you everything tomorrow. I pulled the office door open wide. Charles and the rest of the staff nearly tumbled into the room from where they'd been pressed against the wall eavesdropping. Diana recovered the fastest, holding up her phone running a live streaming app, scrolling through frantic comment bubbles. No way Ms. Sterling's getting married? To her assistant? Dowry equals 3 Brooklyn brownstones, man. Is he hiring wedding planners? Vivian's voice carried clear across the entire office floor from behind me, sharp and threatening. Anyone caught filming or streaming this conversation clears out your desk tomorrow. Only base severance pay will be issued, no bonuses. All live comments vanished instantly. The stream cut off entirely. I got shoved forward toward the elevator, Charles gripping my arm tightly, half whispering, half shouting in my ear. Zhou Yan, you owe me a full explanation. When did this secret relationship start? It never started at all. Then why is she declaring she'll become your mother's daughter-in-law? I don't honestly know. Like hell you don't. He stuffed me firmly into the elevator car. As the elevator doors slid shut, I caught a glimpse of Vivian standing at the far end of the hallway, framed in her office doorway, staring straight toward me. Her face held no readable expression whatsoever. But her right thumb rubbed slowly back and forth across the inside skin of her left wrist, right over that old pale scar. The elevator descended floor by floor. 28, 27, 26. I leaned against the metal elevator wall, one single thought looping endlessly in my head. She let me catch sight of that scar 5 years ago, that very first interview day. Back then the company was bankrupt, her father had just passed away, angry vendors were smashing furniture in the lobby downstairs. She sat all alone in an empty office staring at an official liquidation notice. I walked in for the assistant job interview. She asked why I'd applied for the position. I said the job ad listed assistant, salary negotiable. She said, "You've got guts to walk in here right now." I replied, "I desperately need the money to get by." A tiny faint smile tugged her lips, the exact same soft smile I'd seen today. "Then stay on board. Overtime pay is triple standard hourly rates." I stayed working by her side for 5 full years. I watched her drag Sterling Media back from the brink of collapse. I watched her survive on 4 hours of sleep most nights. I watched her collapse from a bleeding stomach ulcer yet still answer client emails straight from the emergency room hospital bed. I watched her take down every greedy business shark who'd kicked her father while he was down. But I'd never once worked up the courage to ask about that scar on her wrist. Today she'd let me see it again. Not an accident. Completely deliberate. The lobby glass doors slid open. The front desk receptionist peeked at me with wide eyes, silently asking if I was the future Mr. Sterling. I stepped outside into blazing hot sunlight burning against my neck. My phone buzzed with a new WeChat message from Vivian Sterling. Only one short line: "If your mom gives me a hard time tomorrow, I'll kneel and beg her approval." I stared at the text for half a full minute. I typed back, "She won't." Instant reply popped up seconds later, "She will." I slid my phone back into my pocket, standing beneath the towering Sterling Media skyscraper, tilting my head up to stare at the 28th floor glass wall. Her small silhouette was visible through the window pane far above. She'd told me 5 years ago, "Joe Yen, if you choose to stay with me, I'll show you everything I can build from nothing." Earlier today she'd asked me who I planned to go home to date, and if she wasn't worthy to marry into my family. Vivian Sterling never wasted a single meaningless word. So what exactly had she meant by all of this? I glanced down at my own blank wrist, imagining that thin pale scar resting there. I thought I understood the full story. Then I realized I might not grasp a single piece of it at all. The next morning at 6:50, she was already waiting for me in the basement parking garage. A matte black G-Wagon SUV sat idling, passenger window rolled all the way down. No formal business suit today. Cream soft knit cardigan, low loose ponytail, zero makeup on her face. It was the first time I'd ever seen her without full professional makeup. It made her look far younger, 26 instead of 30. "Get in the passenger seat. You're genuinely going through with all of this? The expensive liquor crates are loaded in the back storage area, aren't they?" She nodded toward the rear seats. 2 solid wooden crates of Woliangye wine wrapped in bright red silk ribbons, obviously extremely costly. I climbed into the car and twisted the ignition key to start the engine. The GPS navigation was preset for my hometown, a 4.5-hour drive west along the interstate highway. Once we merged onto the main road, she fell quiet, watching the roadside scenery blur past the window. Her phone was propped on the air vent, open to a bridal boutique group chat window, scrolling through rows of wedding gown sample photos. "Do you prefer pearl detailing along the gown collar or plain unadorned silk?" It's a rhetorical question," she said without glancing over, continuing to swipe through dress designs. We passed the first highway rest stop, then she spoke casually, as if asking about the daily weather. "Joe Yen, what kind of daughter-in-law is your mother hoping to find for you?" "Hardworking, filial to elders, thrifty with money." "Anything else?" "She likes girls with a little soft roundness to their frame. Says it's healthier for starting a family. I weigh only 90 pounds. So she might disapprove of my figure at first. I can gain weight easily." "Wait a minute. If gaining soft weight doesn't win her over, I'll bulk up muscle mass instead. I own a lifetime gym membership I've never once used. I'll start training next week, 1 hour daily. 5 kilos of muscle mass in 3 months is effortless for me." I yanked the steering wheel hard, pulling the car onto the highway shoulder, killing the engine fully, and twisted to face her directly. "What exactly are you truly chasing here?" She held my gaze steadily, something deep and unreadable hidden in her dark eyes. The day you came for your interview 5 years ago, why did you really choose to stay working for me? I told you already, I needed the money to survive. You needed money. She cut my sentence off mid-thought. But when you left that interview room that day, you dumped my cold stale office coffee and brewed a brand new hot fresh cup for me. You hadn't even officially landed the job yet. Still, you'd taken the time to fix my drink. Just mindless habit. The day my father passed away, I sat all alone in that empty office. Creditors lined every hallway, demanding repayment. Not a single person brought me a cup of hot water to comfort me. She stared down at her own fingers resting in her lap. You were the first person who ever cared about small trivial comforts for me. It wasn't just about the coffee, Joanne. She lifted her head, that faint ghost of a smile tugging at her lips again. 5 years ago you did one more quiet kind thing too. You just don't remember doing it. What was it? Get back onto the highway first. I'll explain everything once we reach your mother's house. I shifted the gear back into drive and merged smoothly into traffic again. She swiped to pull up an old faded photograph, holding the phone screen out toward me. A woman in her 50s holding a small boy of 5 or 6 years old, grinning wide in front of the old town hall, a worn tin plaque visible behind them. That woman is my mother. The little kid in the photo is me. Where did you get this picture? Your mother sent it to me. When? How did she even have your contact information? She slipped it to me when you weren't paying attention. A chill prickled across my scalp. Does my mom know who you are? Not at first. She took the phone back into her own hands. But every single time your mother mailed jars of spiced beef jerky to you at the office, the return address was labeled Joyen's mom, and the shipping line read Sterling Media, attention A. MS Sterling. She sent packages straight to the corporate office every few months. Every cardboard box contained 2 sealed glass jars. One jar labeled for Joyen, one jar labeled for AMS Sterling. This quiet exchange went on for 2 full years without my knowledge. I stared blankly ahead through the windshield, stunned. I never knew she'd been sending you homemade beef all along. No, you didn't. You assumed the jerky left on your desk was a generic company staff perk. I tapped the car brakes harder than I intended, drawing an angry honk from the vehicle behind us. I pressed the gas pedal to accelerate forward again quickly. She tilted her head, watching my tense reaction silently. 2 full years of handwritten shipping notes from your mother, Joyen. Last spring festival she wrote a letter to me, AMS Sterling, if our boy is seeing someone special, please help this old woman vet her carefully. Make sure she treats my son well. She paused, letting the weight of the words sink in. She called me her daughter in that letter. I pulled into the next highway service station parking lot, shifting into park, gripping the steering wheel with white-knuckled tension. So yesterday you told me you were leaving to go on a blind date with a stranger. I couldn't stand back and let it happen. I said no to that blind date before you could leave the office. She unbuckled her seatbelt, twisting her whole body to face me fully. Your mother decided I was the right match for you 2 whole years ago. You were about to pick some random stranger she'd never vetted, after she'd mailed me care packages for years hoping I'd care for you. Do you want to read what her very first note to me said? I shook my head silently. Sterling, if you think our yen is worth holding onto, keep him close. His father passed away early, it's only me raising him alone. I don't ask for mountains of wealth for him. I only ask for someone who notices when he's cold, tired, or lonely. She pushed open the passenger car door and stepped out onto the concrete pavement, standing beside the gas pump island. Windy gusts tangled her loose ponytail hair, and she didn't bother brushing it back into place. I climbed out of the driver's seat, rounding the front hood of the SUV to stand in front of her. How long have you been quietly planning all of this? Last Chinese New Year. Your mother called the office to wish me holiday greetings. She told me you were eating cheap instant noodles alone in your tiny apartment every night. She said it broke her heart to picture you lonely, but she lives too far away to look after you herself. She asked if I could keep a close eye on you for her. And I did exactly what she asked. How? Do you honestly believe a regular liberal arts graduate with no family connections, no wealthy pedigree, lands a 5-year long-term presidential assistant position at a top Fortune 500 media firm and keeps it without backing? I blinked hard, unable to process the revelation. Every single promotion, every annual pay raise you received, your performance reviews all read exceeds expectations. Comprehensive support. That comprehensive line was all my doing. I'd been training you to independently handle 8-figure client accounts from the very start. She studied my shocked expression intently. Did you think I was only grooming a regular employee for upper management? What were you grooming me to become? She held my gaze for a long unbroken moment, answer plain and unsoftened. My husband. Flat, matter-of-fact tone, like reciting third-quarter financial projections from a spreadsheet. Car exhaust fumes swirled around us, coating my cheeks, and I didn't wipe the grime away. So yesterday when you asked if you weren't good enough to join my family, I don't waste time making empty jokes, Xiaoyan. But if you hadn't handed in that resignation letter yesterday, I planned to confess everything to you at the end of this year. You just accelerated the whole timeline ahead of schedule. She climbed back into the passenger seat, buckling her safety belt tight. I couldn't bear letting your mother find out I'd let you slip away to marry someone else. She shut the passenger car door firmly behind her. I stood frozen for a second beside the car, then got back into the driver's seat, twisted the ignition, and merged back onto the highway ramp. The remaining 3 hours of the drive passed in complete quiet between us. The GPS chirped to alert us our exit was approaching. I hit the turn signal, veering off the interstate onto the cracked worn asphalt county road I'd grown up traveling every day as a child. Sycamore tree branches leaned over both sides of the narrow road, their leaves limp and wilted beneath the blazing summer heat. The corner convenience market still had the same elderly lady sitting outside shelling sunflower seeds into a metal bowl. She paused mid-chew, eyes widening at the sight of the luxury black G-Wagon rolling past her stall. I cut the engine once we pulled into my mother's small courtyard. Mom was already waiting at the front doorway. She wore the dark red padded cotton jacket she only brought out for major New Year celebrations, twisting a kitchen apron tight in one hand. She didn't look surprised to see Vivian beside me. Not even overly excited. Her expression read more like, "Of course you'd bring this girl home with you." Vivian stepped out of the passenger seat, popped open the rear trunk, and hauled one full wooden crate of expensive liquor by herself. Mom hurried forward, taking the crate from her hands without formal polite small talk. "Silly girl, you could have just come to visit empty-handed, no need to drag all these expensive gifts." "Auntie." Vivian hesitated a fraction of a second, then corrected herself quickly. "Call me Ma." Mom set the heavy crate down on the front threshold, dusting palm dust off her hands, scanning Vivian head to toe slowly. 2 full years I mailed jars of homemade beef to your office. You think I didn't know exactly who I was writing those letters to?" Vivian said nothing in reply. Mom shot me a sharp, irritated glare. Standing there like a wooden signpost. "Escort your girl inside the house. The sun is burning all the fresh vegetables I prepped for lunch." She gave my shin a light, playful kick. "Move quickly." Vivian ducked her head, a genuine small soft smile tugging her lips, and followed Mom into the house. Inside the main room, the old wooden dining table was already set with 4 cold appetizer dishes and a ceramic pot of oolong tea steeping warm. Mom lifted the fabric kitchen curtain halfway to glance at us. "Sit down and rest. First-time guests in my house never lift a finger to wash dishes." She disappeared back into the kitchen to tend to the wok stove. We were left completely alone in the main living room. She sat down on the wooden bench opposite me. Across from her against the wall stood a faded antique vanity mirror. Scraps of red double happiness wedding characters taped crinkly to the wooden frame. This mirror dated back to my older brother's wedding 7 years prior. She caught my reflection in the glass surface beside hers. "Your mother is far kinder than mine ever was." "What?" "My mother." She paused for a beat before continuing. "She abandoned the family the exact year my father's company collapsed into debt. Packed one small suitcase and walked out the front door, never returning again. She left me stuck with $30,000 in unpaid debt and my father's funeral to arrange alone. The year he passed away, she simply ran away without a second thought. I sat alone to clean up every mess he left behind." Her tone remained flat and detached, as if retelling a stranger's sad life story. But her right thumb drifted to rub the inner skin of her left wrist, even through the thick knit cardigan sleeve. "That scar. She left without a goodbye." The very next morning after her departure, I hurt myself badly. No emotion flickered across her face as she spoke. 7 surgical stitches to close the wound. The doctor said if the cut had been half a millimeter deeper, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. I took his words to heart. I figured if I wasn't going to die from the injury, I'd rebuild everything my father lost properly. "So you built Sterling Media from the ground up all by yourself?" "So I built the company from nothing." She repeated the line quietly, then twisted fully to face me. But all the years I spent rebuilding the business, there was one constant person quietly taking care of me the whole time. Who was that person? You. My mouth fell open in shock, then snapped shut again without a word coming out. There was one more quiet, thoughtful thing you did for me, after you made that cup of hot coffee on interview day. She watched my reaction closely, studying every shift of my expression. You wandered into the small side room attached to my office, the altar space I set up for my father's ashes. You bowed respectfully 3 times, and lit 3 incense sticks from the holder on the altar. I didn't consciously remember that small act at all. You were the very first person outside my blood family to ever burn incense in memorial for him. Even the nightly cleaning staff refused to step foot inside that quiet memorial room. Her eyes glinted bright with hidden emotion for just one split second, then she blinked it all away, neutral again. You still think all those small gestures were just meaningless, mindless habit? The fabric kitchen curtain flapped upward suddenly as Mom stepped out carrying a steaming platter of braised pork belly. Eat quickly while it's hot. I'll fry 2 more stir-fry dishes, and the soup is simmering low on the stove. Vivian immediately stood up from the bench. Let me help cook alongside you. Sit back down. If a first-time guest lifts one finger near my stove, I'll be deeply offended. Mom vanished back into the kitchen once more. Vivian sat back down, picked up a pair of wooden chopsticks, and transferred a thick slice of braised pork straight into my bowl first before serving herself. She chewed slowly, swallowed the meat cleanly. This dish is wonderful. I meant you, not the pork. She looked straight into my eyes as she said it. You cried for me last year, at the company annual holiday party. You got drunk and dialed my personal cell phone at 2:30 a.m. You asked if the old scar on my wrist still ached from time to time. Hot embarrassed heat flooded my entire face. I didn't recall a single word of that late-night call. Mom poked her head out from the kitchen again, wiping flour off her apron palms. Girl, that mark on your wrist. Vivian froze mid-reach for her teacup. Mom sighed softly. Don't bother trying to hide it from me. This boy, she jerked her chin toward me, got completely wasted last year. Rambled on the phone for ages, saying his boss had a terrible cut on her wrist that must still hurt badly. Do you think I don't know every little detail about my own son? I whipped my head sharply toward Mom. I never told you any of that. Mom ignored my outburst, softening her gaze toward Vivian instead. You've been through so much hardship, honey. Scar and all, you're welcome in our family. Vivian's throat bobbed as she swallowed hard, but she didn't look away from my mother's gentle eyes. Zhou Yan. She set her chopsticks down neatly beside her rice bowl. Your mother has already given her blessing for me to become your wife. Whether you choose to accept this engagement or not, that choice belongs fully to you. She stood up and walked over to that old vanity mirror, studying her own reflection in the faded glass. The crumpled red double happiness wedding paper stuck to the frame caught lightly on her shoulder like a half-forgotten promise. I turned every possibility over in my head all last night. She twisted back around to face me. If you say no to marrying me, that's completely fine. Treat today only as a visit to see my adopted mother, your mom. All the expensive liquor gifts stay here with your family. I'll drive back to the city alone. You keep your original job position. Your resignation remains permanently denied. What if I say yes? Then I'm never letting you walk away from me again. She stepped close enough our shoulders nearly touched. I'll marry you properly, full traditional wedding ceremonies. Technically speaking, I'm the one with the wealth and status who should be formally proposing to you. Titles and money don't matter one bit to me. As long as you belong only to me. A gust of wind rattled the old locust tree branches outside the courtyard front gate. Sunlight slanted thin striped patterns across the wooden floorboards through the thin fabric door curtain. I've given you 5 years of my life, Zhou Yan. She stretched her right hand out toward me, palm turned upward in silent invitation. I only need one single word from you to know your answer. I crossed the short space between us to stand in front of her. Her palm was pale soft skin, faint thin calluses along the fingertips from years of holding pens and signing endless paperwork. That thin faded white scar on the inner side of her left wrist stood clear in the warm daylight streaming through the doorway. I laid my own palm flat over hers. Our palms pressed fully together. Her skin ran cool, mine warm from the summer heat. 5 years, I said, my voice rougher than I intended. I've belonged to you since that very first interview day. She curled her fingers tight around mine, locking our hands together firmly. From the kitchen, Mom's voice echoed out loud. The soup is fully ready. Someone come carry the ceramic pot over to the table. Vivian let go of my hand, turning toward the kitchen curtain, glancing back at me once over her shoulder. That same soft small smile, the one from the interview, the one I saw this morning in the office. Zhou Yan. Come help get the soup bowls. I followed her into the steamy kitchen. Scents of green onion, garlic, and slow-simmered broth wrapped around us. Mom's constant loud chattering filled the small room, warm and lively and full of life. Vivian stood beside the cast iron stove, ladling hot soup into ceramic bowls, rolling her cardigan sleeves all the way up to her elbows. The scar on her wrist sat fully exposed in plain sight. This time, she didn't try to hide it at all. That's all for today. Remember to subscribe and support us.